do. Hey y'all, it's Necey Dixon. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you are new here, welcome. If you are returning, y'all, welcome back. If you recently subscribed, y'all, welcome and thank you for subscribing. You are now officially a part of hashtag Necey Hive. Y'all, I gotta figure out a way to make this review entertaining because they definitely wasted my good 2 hours last night. Y'all, Married at First Sight. It is the third episode, and we are still at the wedding ceremonies and receptions and tea ceremonies and everything else. Like, it kind of makes me consider the momentum at which they're moving, y'all. I feel like last episode, the episodes weren't that drawn out, and that's because Chris and Paige gave us so much drama. We didn't have to be stuck on something for 6 hours, y'all. We've been watching, wait, is it 6 hours? Because I think the first episode was 3 hours, y'all. We have been watching weddings for 7 hours of our lives at this point, y'all. And I want my time back. So I ain't gonna hold y'all because it was boring AF. But let me go ahead and say what's up to y'all who are joining me at the lunchtime live. I got some stuff to do tonight, so we are going live for lunchtime. So what's up, Alicia Garcia? Hey girl. Julia Jules, what's up, Fave? Kishwar, hey. Kelly Kell, Ramel, hey, thank you for asking about wedding dress shopping. I found a #1 contender, y'all. I found a #1 wedding dress contender. I'm super excited, y'all. I got 8 months until the wedding. Carla Jr., hey girl. And yes, let's go ahead and get into this review. We'll go ahead and start off with Ryan and Brett. We get the redhead and y'all, Ryan. I told y'all that Ryan had the look of depression in his eyes, y'all. I was thoroughly concerned that he wasn't ready for love and that he wasn't over the passing of his best friend, which I'm not mad at you if you aren't. I mean, I just need you to take the time you need before you jump into a relationship. So I have to tell y'all, this is probably the happiest that I actually saw Brett the entire time he was on the show. I was like, what? Ooh, and I got to answer this question about my dress. SG says, did I cry? I didn't cry. I didn't cry. Y'all, I have to be completely honest with y'all. Wedding dresses almost all look the same, in my opinion. Almost always. Now, the dress I had, I felt beautiful. I felt elegant. I felt like I looked timeless. I felt like I looked like a wife, but I didn't cry. But yeah, so back to the review, y'all. Ryan, okay, and like the video on your way in, please and thank you. Ryan, he seemed happy, y'all. This was the happiest that I've seen him. I feel like this was probably the first time that I really saw his teeth, but he just really thought that Brett was beautiful. And we'll talk about that because one of the things that people keep talking about is that she's not necessarily his type. And I don't really think that that's a bad thing because he still thinks that she's beautiful. I feel like the whole type thing is, take it with a grain of salt, okay? A lot of people have a type. A lot of people have a type that they like, okay? I'm not even gonna go where I was about to go, but no, let's go ahead and go there, y'all. A lot of people have a type, okay? I know plenty of people whose types are 6 foot, dark skin with a beard and works out 7 days a week. Meanwhile, you work out twice a month, really ain't giving how you're supposed to give. So I feel like types are just like a preference. Like, it'd be nice if I had this. I wish I had this, but it's not really that big of a deal. Julia asked a good question. What is his type if he was a serial dater? I wanted to know. Is it a blonde girl, brunette? You know, most of them have a preference. You a boob guy, you an ass guy. Feel like plenty of dudes like Ryan, they kind of lean towards the boobage area, which I feel like Brett definitely has. So it seems like they're getting along well, okay? Now let's go ahead and jump to the actual wedding. They kissed on the lips, so good for them. I know that it had been a while since Brett said she had even been with a man or kissed a man. I think she said 2 years. So I'm like, okay, this is looking a little bit helpful. Then we can move on to the photos. And like I told y'all just before, this is the happiest that I've seen him look. He kind of seemed to be a bit of a jokester. And then whenever they were having conversations over champagne and dinner, he asked her, or actually Brett asked Ryan, are you more of a glass half empty or a glass half full? Or would you say you're right in the middle? And that's whenever Brett lets us know that she's definitely more of a realist. She may come off as a pessimist, but she's more of a realist, which I feel like we can kind of already see down to them dancing at the wedding. On the other side of things, Ryan says that he's overly positive. And I was like, what? Who is this, y'all? Because what he's telling us is completely different from what I would have, what my impression of him was within the first two episodes. So Ryan says he's overly positive. Now let's talk about that wedding dance, y'all. So they did their first dance. I keep saying wedding dance, whatever. They're doing their first dance. And I don't know who decided to make this call, but it was to a country two-stepping, tootin' and bootin' song. And Brett was so far out of her comfort zone. Ryan, he kept a smile on his face. He tried to make her laugh. He was trying to be funny. And she was uncomfortable, which, I mean, it kind of concerns me a little bit because you see some hesitancy when it comes to Brett trying new things. So just think about, like, whenever they get in their relationship, what barriers is he going to have to get down? What barriers is he going to have to knock down to actually get to know Brett and to make her comfortable? So I think it's really good to see that Ryan is willing to do that. Whereas before I thought he was like very much serious and very much depressed and not ready to have fun. So I'm a little bit hopeful there. So now we get to the conversations with the groomsmen. Brett is talking to the groomsmen and she says, am I his type? I thought that they were going to lie, but no, they held nothing back. His friend said, some of them are like, no. Somebody said, no, not even in the slightest. I was like, damn, friend. Like, he was like, no, not at all. So that tells me that Ryan probably has a very specific type. I want to know what that type is. And I feel like we'll eventually hear about it, because as much as they talked about types in this first episode, I feel like that's a conversation that's probably going to come back up in the honeymoon episode. So really what it was the red hair. Now, on the other side of things, Ryan is talking to her bridesmaids, and really he says that a redhead is not typically his type. He feels like with red hair, either you rock it or you don't rock it. And whenever she went and talked to her friends told her, like, hey, don't worry that you're not his type, but he says that you rock red hair, so don't worry about it. Now, to the end of the night, y'all, her girls are talking to her and they're like, okay, what you gonna do tonight? Are you about to lay it down? What are we doing tonight? And Brett doesn't necessarily answer the question. Brett ends up saying that, the intimacy that she's looking forward to is really her just taking off her makeup, her, brushing her hair out, wearing a ponytail, wearing PJs. She wants to know if he's really feeling her once she takes off her makeup, because she feels like that's an entirely different, kind of intimacy. Now, that's a long way of saying, no, we're not laying down tonight. I am taking my time. And we know that Brett is one to take her time because, like she told us in the first episode, she ain't been with a man nor kissed a man in 2 years. So I definitely don't see that happening anytime soon. I don't remember what Ryan said about having sex. If anyone in the comment remembers, and this is why I love going live, if anybody remembers what Ryan said about having sex the night of the wedding, please let me know what I missed. But with that being said, I think we can go ahead and move on to the next couple. Ryan and Brett, I feel like they may be okay. I feel like Brett is going to be the much more difficult one. Ryan is going to latch on immediately. I don't know if that's what he does in all his relationships, or if he's just trying to fill a void for losing his best friend. So I definitely see friction in the future. I definitely see Brett kind of pulling away and Ryan kind of suffocating. I see it working that way. So y'all tell me y'all's thoughts on Ryan and Brett. But for now, we will move on to the next couple. Let's go ahead and talk about Johnny and Bao. Y'all, we really didn't get to see a whole lot of Johnny and Bao, But that's because Johnny and Belle have the whole first episode, and just the way that they have started the season, I don't really like the storyline in which the way they're doing it. 3 episodes of the wedding, Johnny and Belle's wedding over 3 episodes, like too much. Too much. I want to know how long the weddings actually were, because I don't know if y'all heard, and this isn't even about Johnny and Belle, but I don't know if y'all heard, but Merla actually is selling her wedding dress. She had a Berta wedding gown. Berta is that girl when it comes to the wedding dresses. That was $10,000 at retail price. Like they say, she's bougie. Y'all, let me go ahead and talk about them. So Merla's dress was $10,000. She posted it for sale. So a lot of people are thinking that this means that they're getting a divorce. I don't think so. I don't think they're going to make it, but I don't think that this means that they're getting a divorce because she's selling her dress. Really, y'all, if you spend $10,000 on a wedding gown that you're not going to wear again, I'm selling it too. So y'all tell me what y'all think. Does that mean that Merla Gil is getting a divorce and she doesn't want her dress anymore? Or y'all think she just want a little bit of coin? Do y'all think that she's being a little bit conservative and that Gil is rubbing off on her? So while I'm talking about them, let's go ahead and get into them, and then we'll get into Johnny and Bao next. So for Merla, y'all, it's picture time after the wedding or the wedding ceremony. And our concern was that she wasn't going to like Gil because she said she wanted an Odell Beckham. She wanted, hair on the head was a necessity. She wanted a beard. And you get Gil. Gil is a handsome man. Gil is not Odell Beckham. Gil does not have hair on his head, nor does he have a beard, and he also has a miniature gap. Nothing wrong with that, but that's definitely not what Merla said she wanted. However, she still thinks that he's a nice man, he's a gentleman, and she's attracted to him. So now that it's time for pictures, I was actually surprised at how open she was and how receptive she was to his touch. They looked really comfortable with each other, but she still was holding back that kiss. Ooh, Bondi Blue, thank you, girl. Y'all be sure to watch the Ooh Ladies First panel tonight. Okay? So I was just honestly surprised that Merla was open to it, because she acts like she's completely against any form of intimacy. But to me, I'm like, girl, that's your husband. That's your husband. Quit doing these little pecks on the cheek. Like, nobody is here for that, right? So anyway, they get along. Now it is time for dinner. They have a conversation, and the biggest topic that comes up is last names. What I thought was really funny was that Merla says to Gil, "What's your last name?" He says, "Cuero." And he says to her, "Well, what's your maiden?" And she acts confused, like, "What you mean, maiden?" And he goes, "Well, what was your last name before? Your current last name, like whatever you want me to call it." She says whatever her last name is, it starts with an F. And to her, she feels like she doesn't want to change her last name because that's her attachment to her father, who is no longer with her. Gil, on the other side of things, tells her straight up, "I want you to change your last name." Now, this isn't the first time I heard of that before. My sister-in-law was actually like that. She wanted to keep her last name in memory of her father. She ended up not doing that, but I know a lot of people think that way. And I feel like the overall solve that I have been seeing is women will go change their middle name to their maiden name if that's what they want to keep, from their father. To each his own, y'all. I'm changing my last name. But I will still be Necey Dixon on YouTube, okay? Because that won't change. That's all me. So anyway, at the dinner, they start doing the clink, 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 clink. And that's the signal that everybody does when they want you to kiss. And Gil's friends are really, really gunning. Kiss, kiss, kiss. Y'all, his friend killed the fuck out of me. This is the same friend who was like, "So is y'all effing or nah?" This is the same friend. And I was like, he is so funny. Because he ends up asking her later on, like, what was going on? So they didn't kiss at the dinner, y'all, right? And now we can move on to the conversation with the groomsmen. Merla ends up having a conversation with the groomsmen, And the same friend who I told y'all is so straightforward. He is so like Houston, Texas, like hood Texas. It was so funny to me because he had an accent. He said, yeah, y'all didn't kiss up there. So what's going on with that? He's like, nah, I ain't playing it up for these cameras. What's going on with that? And she was like, well, he's a stranger. And they're telling her, but that's your husband. And she's like, yeah, but we're just going to keep it conservative. We're going to take our time. That's what's annoying, Merla. That's why people don't really know if they can get with you, because you are really bougie in the most negative way. Bougie in the way where you think that designer makes you fashionable and this, and you want to flaunt about everything. Who is wearing designer clothes to a charity event? I would never in my life do that. Ain't nothing wrong with buying designer, sporting designer, but for you to make that so much of your identity, what's going on? What's missing? Initially, I was like, I definitely understand you spending the money because you got it, you pay for it. That's fine. But this topic has come up one too many times, and I'm just like, why? Why? Anyway, we'll move on to Gil's friend speaking to Merla, and this is another reason why I was like, I don't really know. I have to agree with this comment right here from Sasha. Sasha says, Merla seems very defensive and on the attack all the time. She definitely is. Something about Merla that I can't get with. I was definitely trying to give her another episode because I felt like maybe they were giving her a bad edit. But nah, that's just how she is. It seems like she likes to, ooh, I'm better than you. That's her whole attitude. So Gil's friends are telling her, you're going to have to change your lifestyle, because whenever you get married, it's not, oh, I always did this, I'm going to keep it that way, and he has to join me. It's very much, where can we meet in the middle? Oh, this is one where I'm kind of like, because the same thing happened with Brianna and Vincent last season. Remember, Brianna made a lot of money. She made 6 figures. Vincent didn't really make very much money. And she still wanted to travel. She still wanted to go do this and that. Maybe she didn't talk about designer as much, but her and Merla were a little bit similar when it came to the money situation. And I felt like last season, when it came to Brianna and Vincent, Brianna shouldn't completely change her life because you're with somebody who makes less than you. I feel like you can definitely meet in the middle. Y'all can have common goals, common things y'all want to pay for, and not just buy everything because it's designer. It ain't no reason for you to be splurging money when we could be building. You can splurge every now and then, but the way that you do now, I think we should use that money to build. So if you look at it that way, I think it's fine. However, Merla was not receptive to anything they said at all. She even started, popping neck a little bit at Gil's friends. And I'm like, this is the wedding. They don't even know you. And you have the audacity to already try to pop off and have an attitude. Number one, I feel like you could have deaded that conversation. I don't think it should have got that serious, because at that point in time, you hadn't even had a conversation with your husband about finances before you were ready to become a little bit combative with Gil's friends. So that was not a good look. Now, on the other hand, y'all, Gil's talking to the bridesmaids and they're asking about sex. Do y'all plan to have sex tonight? And Gil ends up saying, we can take it slow, or we can wait however long she wants to wait. And one of her friends says, well, what if she wants to wait 6 months? Something about Merla, y'all, and the way that her friends look at her and their facial expressions tells me that Merla is the fool of the group. And not like she's a clown type of way, but in a type of way where her friends often get together and be like, did y'all hear from that fool Merla? Girl, Merla. Something tells me that she's that friend. So anyway, Gil, in the most polite way, ends up saying, you know what, this could be the love of my life. If I'm with her for 40 years, what is 6 months to 40 years? So Merla, I feel like this conversation only showed us how much on the verge or how quick Merla could potentially show her ass. I'm going to call out this comment right here from C. Golden. C. Golden says getting married was on the agenda item for Merla. I agree. It was on the agenda. And that's just what it was. So now, y'all, we can go into Bao and Johnny. Not very much, okay? So they're at the dinner. They're having a conversation at the table, just the two of them. And what we find out, of course, like we already knew, is that Johnny is very, very physical. He's into physical touch. That's how he knows that someone likes him. That's his love language. And on the other hand, Bao is like, I'm completely the opposite. She even uses the word rock bottom. She says physical touch is rock bottom for her, but she appreciates that Johnny often asks if he can touch her and if he can do this because she still finds that attractive. I feel like that's the conversation really didn't have me shook. But what I feel like is going to happen is eventually, as Bao starts to grow feelings with Johnny through having intellectual conversations, eventually she will soften up and I think they can get a little physical touch in. However, I feel like Johnny is going to have to get with the program. That's pretty much it. Johnny is going to have to get with the program because Bao, I don't see her folding in any way, being overly physical to reassure Johnny. I kind of think that that's a good thing. Because as much as Johnny told us in the earlier episodes that he always chooses someone that kind of likes him more than he likes them, Bao is definitely not about to be that girl. So I want them to meet somewhere in the middle, somewhere in the middle. But I don't know. Yes. So what was funny was Johnny had a conversation with Bao's brothers. And he brings up the physicalness. Like, do y'all hug her? And they straight up was like, no, we don't hug her. And that's all of a sudden when he was like, oh my gosh, this is more real than what I thought it was. So I'm like, dang, Johnny, you're really going to have to find a way to meet her in the middle. Y'all are going to have to find a way to express your love for each other because physical touch is not going to be it. Another thing that I thought was really cute was that Bao is talking to her friends and family, and she ends up saying that she always had a crush on Johnny. So she feels like it was fate for them to be together. And now he's her husband. Girl, you didn't secure the bag. Don't fumble it. Okay. I need you to have some level of patience when it comes to Johnny. And Johnny, I need you to do the same. But I'm really concerned about the way our girl Bao might end up treating Johnny. I don't feel like it's going to be Johnny doing the fool. I feel like it's going to be Bao. She's not going to soften up. So that's what I'm concerned about. Now, this couple, they get into the conversations with their friends and family about sex as well. And I don't remember who said it. I think it was Johnny who says it's kind of an uphill battle. So they go to bed that night. Not only was it an uphill battle, it was definitely a, no touching zone at all. Johnny had mentioned that he goes to sleep with a body pillow on, and Bao actually laid a pillow in between them so they could sleep like roommates or something. Like, at that point in time, once she laid the pillow down on the bed, I feel like one of them should have laid at the foot of the bed and one of them should have laid at the head of the bed. That's how much anti-physicalness Bao was. So I'm like, dang, you definitely got a long battle, Johnny. So do I want to talk about them or do I want to talk about them? Who y'all want to talk about next? Rachel and Jose or Michaela and Zach? Y'all tell me. I don't have a preference. And this is what we can do on the live. So I hope that maybe I should do more lunchtime lives. Y'all tell me what y'all think. Anyway, I don't see anybody voting just yet. So I think that I'm going to go into Michaela and Zach. So now, y'all, let's talk about Michaela and Zach. We actually seen a lot of their wedding as well. This is dinner time, and the couple is having a conversation, just the two of them. And Zach ends up asking Michaela, when was your last relationship? Michaela says that her last relationship was in 2017. She was with a guy who pretty much just wanted to move fast. He wanted a lot of things, to happen, marriage, kids, and et cetera, but she just was not ready. Zach immediately was like, oh gosh, she wasn't ready. How long ago was this? 5 years ago. So you ain't got to worry, Zach. Zach ends up talking about how, he really didn't date that much because he was a nerdy, skinny, dark-skinned dude. He felt like he was always made fun of. And I'm sure he was, because once he said what school he went to, I was like, oh, Lord. He went to pretty much an all-white, Catholic, all-male high school. There were some black kids there, but it was pretty much slim to none. And I really need black people to stop doing this. I really need black people to stop doing this. I really, really need black people to stop sending your children to schools and environments where they are one of few. And I feel like if, that helped his education, fine. But you need to have something on the back end to where they are exposed to more black people. So Zach just says, he was self-conscious about his skin and things like that. And Michaela comforts him and she's like, yeah, you ain't got to worry about nothing because I think you are fine. You are gorgeous. And she ends up saying that like multiple times. And I think that Zach really is a handsome man, because I was trying to figure out, like, why would he not date? He said that he really came into his own in college, like majority of people do. So good for him, y'all. Now it's time for the conversation with Zach's parents. Zach's dad is really happy. Everyone, including Michaela's sisters, noticed the magnet attraction between Michaela and Zach. Even the dad, and y'all, the dad was actually concerned at first. And then the mom goes on talking on a rant about Zach, seemed like for 5 minutes screen time. And she's like, Zach is all in or he's not. He's this, he's that, all in or not. Zach. And Michaela's sitting there like, girl, y'all honestly would have thought that Zach was like her only child, the way that she was talking about Zach. But overall, it seems like the parents are here for it. And I feel like that helps some of the battle, because you already have the support from the parents, because they were initially extremely opinionated, opinionated about him coming on this show. But they ended up being fine with it because they feel like it's a good match. So now Zach ends up talking to Michaela's sisters. And this is when I was lightweight annoyed, y'all. The sister said, why should we trust you? And Zach ends up saying he doesn't really give a good answer. He was like, I can show you better than I can tell you. I feel like you'll see over time. We'll be together and she'll come back and tell you things and you'll see it. And apparently that wasn't the answer that they wanted to hear. But part of me is like, Michaela signed up for the same show Zach did. How do you know that they can trust Michaela? Those, like, when you step into these TV shows like this, there's two people who take the same risk and sign up for the same show. What was he supposed to say? Like, that whole protective mode stuff, that goes out the window whenever your sister applies to be on a show where you sign up to marry a stranger. He's taking the same risk as her. There's nothing that he's benefiting by risking getting a divorce or marrying a stranger. He's taking the same risk as her. So I was like, y'all, go sit down somewhere. I hate when people do that. Then not only do they talk about how can we trust you, they start talking about, well, how old are you? He says 27. You know how old your wife is, right? It's 3 years. It's 3 years. They would have went to the same high school. They would have went to the same college. It's 3 years. It's not 8, 10, 15. It's 3 years. So I can't stand the fake protection stuff. It's like, whatever. So y'all already know how Michaela feels about potentially having sex with her husband. Zach seems like he's a little friendly too. It's bedtime now. Michaela is wearing her pajama set. And, Zach is being real flirtatious. Oh, I didn't see all that in that dress. And they just can't wait to get together, be alone, to kiss, to touch, to hold, to hunch. Okay. Because I definitely think that they are going to lay it up on that first night. The other thing, I didn't talk about Merla and Gil in the bed. Merla wore a 2-piece flannel sleeping set to bed. Girl. I just can't sleep hot. But that's how much of a boundary she had up. So let's get into this last couple, y'all. We will get into Rachel and Jose. So Rachel's biggest fear before the wedding is that she's terrified that he may be born. Okay. So that's kind of good to know because she wasn't terrified that he would be under 6 foot and that he would also be a little bit feminine. She wasn't terrified of that at all. But what I will say when it comes down to Rachel and Jose, friends. Friends. They definitely were giving me friend vibes. The way he kept calling her gorgeous, it was very much like when I'm at brunch with one of my gay best friends. And I didn't say anything about Jose. I said it gave me vibes about like similar to when I'm at brunch with my gay best friends. Those were the vibes. So the wedding went fine, okay? He was terrified she wouldn't be attracted to him. He was not at all concerned about what she looked like based on what we saw. I never saw him talk to the camera and say what type of woman he wanted. What I feel the whole time we see is he's concerned that a woman would not be attracted to him. I feel like his friends and family were also concerned as well, low key, because even when he told them that he was getting married, the dad said he was unsure that it would even happen. What y'all want this man to prove? Okay. Anyway, anyway, what do y'all want him to prove? So she's talking to her friends, getting ready for the wedding. And Jamie, that's me. Jamie mentioned that one of Rachel's friends was a hater and that you could always tell by like the facial expression she was making, so on and so forth. And I seen it. I seen it all the way. Similar to how I said that Merla's friends, you can tell that she's the fool of the group. You can tell that Rachel is the fool of her group because her friend group was definitely looking around like, when they seen Jose, they was thinking what we was thinking. And even when it came to Rachel giving them disclosure before heading down the aisle, she says, if y'all see any red flags, like don't run up to me and tell me immediately unless it's something that's like really, really bad. If you see something that's a little bit negative, like just let me figure it out on my own. That tells me that you have been in so many foolish situations that your friends have told you how foolish you are for being in those situations. And since you're getting married, you may have taken that in the past from hearing it about a boyfriend, but since you're getting married, you don't want to hear that about your husband. And I'm sure they didn't tell you what red flag they saw because I seen a red flag. Okay. So for the wedding day, they're all smiles. They kiss on the lips. And she says that he's exactly what she wanted because she was not at all concerned about looks. So I was like, damn. But then in her confessional, she ends up saying that she thought he was a handsome man. Now it's time for pictures. The family's there, the friends there. Jose won't smile at all. He's sitting there. And this is Jose trying to tap into his masculinity. He feels like his smile makes him look soft. So for the pictures, he's trying to look a little bit more masculine. And I hate to see it. I hate to see it, Jose, because I really just want you to be yourself. Somebody in the comments on my last video said that Jose is Metro. We'll call him Metro. We'll say Metro. He's giving very much Metro. But he's also concerned that his wife will peep that he's so Metro and so feminine that he tries to cover it up by acting hard in the pictures. And I was like, this is awkward as hell. Now, it's dinner time. Jose ends up talking to Rachel, saying, anything I get, I want, I do this. He's checking boxes, y'all. Similar to how one of the commenters said earlier that I think it was C something. I don't want to say your name wrong. But similar to how we said that marriage was a check in a box for Merla, it's definitely a check in a box for Jose. He's Mr. Perfection. He's all about image. He's all about his accomplishments. But anybody like that honestly has me concerned about what you could be hiding. What you could be hiding. And we're going to talk about the stepmom, y'all. So the stepmom has a conversation with Rachel about do you think y'all are gonna have sex tonight? Jose's dad seems a little bit uncomfortable and he's like, do what you feel. And the stepmom's like, girl, go get you a drink and you could do. What y'all want this man to prove? Why are y'all trying to put this grown-ass man on this woman and trying to make sure that he gets it in tonight? I think y'all want to further assure yourselves that Jose is straight. I that's honestly what I think, y'all. I'm not trying to come down on Jose or anything like that. I'm definitely not trying to come down on him, but I feel like his family wants him to further prove that he's into women. Who knows? Okay. And maybe Jose is metro, maybe he is straight, but I still feel like his femininity is always an issue when it comes to his relationships with women, when it comes to the way that his family perceives him, which is why he's always trying to prove that he's perfect. He's always trying to assert some masculinity in the pictures. And that's why sex was such a big topic. He was ready in the hotel room. Yes, Jay Antoinette. He definitely was ready for sex. And I think that Rachel's going to let him, she's going to let him get it in. Okay. So we'll see what happens, y'all. This was a long, boring 2-hour episode. The previews, though. Wait, did I skip anybody? No, we got them all. The previews, though, for the season, y'all, is going to be crazy. Okay, y'all, did you see Michaela? Did y'all see Hurricane K in the previews? She is definitely going to come and fuck it up. She is. So yeah, a lot of the previews confirms kind of what we saw from the first episode. We see that Ryan is basically head over heels for Brett, but we don't know if Brett feels the same way. We see that Bao is very unemotional and Johnny's emotional, talking to her saying, well, maybe just say this, just say you don't like me, whatever. And then we see that Hurricane K, Michaela, is slamming doors on production, telling people to get out. This is what I'm talking about. We didn't have to spend 3 hours on the wedding. We could have been and jumped into this, okay? So y'all, ways to support my channel. Like the video, share, comment. Look at the description box. You can become a member of Necey Hive. You can cash at me. You can send super chats. You can shop my merch store, or you can simply just share the video. I definitely appreciate it. And another thing, thank y'all so much. We made it to 7,000. We are on our way to 10,000, okay? So if y'all like this video, be sure to like it up. I will see y'all on the next one. The encore will drop, if not late tonight. My encore review will drop tomorrow, but that was definitely another boring show. So I'll get it to y'all within the next 24 hours. I hope y'all have a great rest of y'all's day. Love y'all.